Welcome to Humble Ground, a podcast where the heart of agriculture meets the stories that feed the world. Behind every meal is a farmer, a rancher, and a legacy of hard work. Here, we shine a light on their journeys, their challenges, and their triumphs, because every meal has a story, and it's time we heard it.
Hey everybody, welcome to the next episode of Humble Ground. We've made our way down to Oklahoma, the great state of Oklahoma, and we've got two fascinating guests that I appreciate even taking the time. They've got a lot going on. They are superstars in a lot of people's minds, and my kids couldn't believe me that I was coming down here to do this today, so I'm pretty excited. But we're just going to jump into it. Again, like, subscribe. We're going to share their links as well because they've got a lot of great things going on. But can one of you two, I guess, tell me the history of the ranch and your earliest memory of that? I guess I'll probably start with you. Do you remember as a kid? And then can you give us a little bit of history on the ranch itself?
I don't start there. I grew up in the city, big town of Fay. But we had a bank, and we had a grocery store, and we had a gas station, and a post office, and a hardware store. And when I got married to Jimmy Didier, that's when I got into the farming business, and I had no idea what I was getting into. None. Of course, my grandparents lived in the country, and we'd go out there and visit, but it wasn't anything to work at. We just had fun as a kid. So, but we lived in town. He lived in town. We lived in town for, probably 15 years, probably at least. And that's when his mother had passed away and we bought the farm. So it was 2 years before I had the nerve to move down here to this farm. Never. I would never get down here, no.
Really?
No.
You just...
I was scared spitless.
Really?
Yes.
Fay's not that big, is it?
No. Well, it is. It was then, we had an elevator, we had a depot, we had,
So you just didn't want to get out of the big city? Yeah.
Yeah. And I had neighbors, and stuff. Do you see anybody down here?
There's
Nobody.
not much out here. But you know what? It's beautiful. It's a beautiful place out here. So
I've been here 50 years. Now, I would not leave here. No.
I'm
not leaving now.
So I was reading your website. The ranch itself has been around since 1902.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yes. Yep. Yes.
In the family, actually, since 1902.
Yeah, in the family. Yeah,
Yep.
they homesteaded.
So your husband would be what generation then?
Okay.
Third generation, he would have been. Third. He was the third one.
Third generation.
And you'd be fifth generation then?
I'm fifth gen, yep.
Oh, man. That's so cool. We get to see a lot of places that our first generation, we get to see a lot that are fifth and sixth, and what it takes. Like, I don't think people understand what it takes for that next generation to want to come back and to want to be involved in it, because it's a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
It's a different lifestyle than in town.
Yes, definitely. And it's hard work, and nobody, and it's so expensive to get in the business now.
Sure.
You cannot, it was just like some land sold south of here last Saturday, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For, what was it, $4,000 an acre?
Yeah.
So,
it's getting to be a very expensive game.
Yeah, very expensive.
Yeah, I guess, how'd you get back to the farm?
Oh, it's a long story.
Well, I'd love to hear. We're here. That's what we're here for.
Grandma, I'll follow up on his. So yeah, we got 1902 is when my great grandfather Pierre Didier came from France, made his way down here, and then got this homestead that we're here today. And him and his wife raised their kids here. And then he passed away in 1921, and that's when my great grandfather August Didier took over. But all the siblings were still like part ownership of the farm. So in 1951, they wanted to sell. One of the siblings wanted to sell it. So like anything, if you know how this works, like if somebody wants to sell something, everybody's involved in ownership, it has to go to auction.
Yep.
So I came to auction. He bought it from the siblings. We found the note on that the other day, and it's in the abstract too from the county. It's really cool to see all this stuff. He bought it for $6,500 in 1951. But a month later to the day, he died in a car wreck with my grandpa in the car too.
Wow.
So at 14, my grandpa basically had to take over this whole operation by himself. luckily he had a great uncle who also was in the ranching business. His name was Bert Carnahan, and he was an Irish rancher. Only raised Hereford cattle, and he was a cowboy, Irish cowboy. So he helped him out for about 4 or 5 years, helped him run the family business. And then my grandpa really took over when he was 19, is when he really took over everything here, kept it going. And then you guys got married about that same time, right?
Yeah.
So that in the 50s, 57, 58 when you and grandpa got married?
59.
59. No, 58, because Chris was
58.
born in 59.
Yeah, 58. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, grandma was busy early. She married at 17, 2 kids,
Yeah.
one at 18, one at 19. And then ever since then, it's just been smooth sailing, right?
Huh?
So that's how we got to where she was talking about. There was a lot of moving things that had to happen to keep this thing afloat. And we always say it's by the grace of God, like these acts, like August buys it, month later dies, and my grandpa has to take over at a young age. So kind of goes to tell you about the people who had to run this place for a long time too, and about why it means so much to like my generation, being the 5th gen. A lot of people say we're all born on third base.
Yep.
Everything's kind of set up for you. I'll tell you what right now, how this thing was working 15, 20 years ago was not a business that I would get myself into. But what we're doing now is trying to make it a more sustainable business to keep not even my generation involved, but our children now that we have kids involved. And so that's genuinely what brought me back here. Was when I left here, always in my head, I thought I was like, I'm going to come back and help somehow, but I don't know when that's going to be, how. Maybe 30, 40 years from now. I'll probably be an old man, but I'll figure it out. They'll keep it going until I'm gone or until I'm back. And God brought me back here 5 years after I left, and He utilized social media for us to utilize something we built to now bring it back to helping out the operation here.
It's such a cool thing. For people watching, you probably have seen a video of one of the two or both of them in it, and so we're definitely going to dive into that. But wanted to get a little bit of history on, because some people probably watching videos on the internet, as you know, can be, oh well, you guys don't actually farm. Like I've seen a few, or you don't actually ranch, right? Well, you guys live it every day, which is just
Yes, I mean, yeah.
which is awesome. We're out in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been doing it for 50 years. Oh my gosh. But my husband, he had to work 20 years at a gypsum plant to, sustain everything. And when our two sons graduated from high school, he quit because, they were going to do their own thing. So, and then I went to work. I went to work at 3M for 18 years.
It's crazy. We had somebody that was on the podcast, two brothers that have an incredibly successful farm and ag business. And they said, man, we wouldn't have got through the 80s if Mom didn't have a job in town.
Right, yes. That's most farmers have somebody working.
Like, it's crazy. Most farms and ranches have somebody working just so that they can still farm and ranch. Like, it's crazy. But I think that those make great stories, and it's obviously out of that comes hard work and a work ethic and a willingness to like put in the time, because then hopefully the next generation can come back and do something maybe different to be more sustainable, which is I think what you're doing. How did you get into doing video work? And then I would love to know how you got drug into doing that, because you're definitely a natural, I think. Is that something?
I just do it. I mean, that's just me. That's me. Well, I don't have any training. I didn't have any training at all.
You don't need any training. You're just good.
Natural.
Yeah. Did you go to school for that, or is that something you just kind of had a passion for?
Yeah. The funny part is when you grow up out here, like most kids, you either play sports or you get into the family business, or you go off and you leave and move to the city, right? Like that's kind of the options. Ever since I was a kid, if I wasn't playing sports, I loved to like tell stories. I always contribute my grandpa, her husband, to being a huge part of that, because being out here, I think being out kind of secluded from everybody, you kind of got to live in your own fantasy land in your head. And I don't think a lot of people realize, like a lot of farmers I've talked to, a lot of ranchers are very creative people, but they don't express that, or they have no one to express it to. So I got to see from a cool, really unique perspective. I was the baby of the family, the grandkid, so you get the softer version of Grandpa than most of the other grandkids got. He got to introduce me to John Wayne, John Ford movies, Hee Haw, Andy Griffith Show, TV Land, all that. So a lot of my entertainment knowledge growing up came from him, and storytelling came from him, and I saw the beauty in it. And so when I was in college, I went to go play baseball, and I got hurt. So I was like, what's my next move in life? And then I saw that there was a place like, oh, you can practice professional film and television acting. And I was like, and I used to do school theater and all that stuff, and I was always like the star of the play and all that, but it's like you don't take it seriously in a small town. You're like, sure. It's just something you do. I've always loved doing it. So I was like, you know what? I want to figure out that, but I also want to figure out how to tell stories from behind the camera, because I always appreciate Clint Eastwood for that perspective. Like, the guy gave some of the best movies we've had the last 40 years has been Clint Eastwood has his hands on, whether in front of or behind the camera. So I started learning video audio production at University of Oklahoma, at the same time doing professional film and television acting regionally in the state. And then after I graduated, I said, I'm making that move. I always had bigger dreams. I'm not going to just do this on a regional level. So I went out to Hollywood for 6 years. Wow. And ultimately, that's what got me into doing the social media thing, because half the time I'd go into auditions. Even if you're nailing it, you kill it. Producers go, all right, so what's your handles? And I'm like, handles? I'm from a small town. I had like 500 Instagram followers. I said, Instagram. They're like, oh, 500 followers. I'm like, and I didn't realize part of the business in that industry was you need to have a built-in following, because that's built-in audiences. Sure. And so they don't have to pay. It's marketing. And I didn't know that at the time. I was just, I'm good enough. I can make it happen. I'm going to work hard enough. So while none of that opportunities were happening for me, my father-in-law, I always give him the credit for this, because he looked at me one day. He's a New Yorker, played college football at UTEP, then went to California and made his way in business. And he said to me, he goes, Gatlin, are you an actor? And I said, yeah. And he goes, well, why aren't you acting? And I said, that's a pretty good point. why ain't I acting? And he goes, can't you just throw this stuff up on the internet? Aren't people watching stuff there now too? And I said, yeah. And he's like, don't you have a degree in this stuff? I said, yeah. And he goes, well, borrow my camera. He had like a Rebel, Canon Rebel for like their family photos. And he said, and just start making stuff. I said, all right. So like December 14th, 2019, he told me that. January 6th or 7th, 2020, I posted my first YouTube video. So that's what got me into doing it. But then ironically, God's hand happened in the timing of that, 2020, because that's when everything shut down, industry related and world related. So I had to kind of make a pivot, and that's what got me into doing social media.
And then did you move back home then at that point?
Well, it slowly happened. So what happened was we were going to come out here for one of my best friends was getting married for his wedding. So I planned, like, I'm going to be out for a week. I'm going to make some content at the farm. Sure. Biggest thing was, like, I'm a farm boy. I'm an American. Every time I'd go in, people were like, you're so all American. You're Midwest. We're just not casting that right now. I'm like, oh. But that's who I was, and like that's who would authentically come through when I'd audition. I wasn't a surfer. I wasn't a lawyer from New York. Like, I'm not those things. That's not who I am, even if I tried my best to pretend to be. So I started. I was like, you know what? I know how farming is and ranching. Like, I grew up in that. What if I start making content around that? So when I came home for a week, was gonna do it. Wedding got canceled. Everyone's like, it's the week COVID hit. I don't know. Did you guys get demonetized? You can cut that out if you know that word gets you guys in trouble. I know it's used to get people in trouble.
We'll be fine.
But when it hit, that's when I something in my gut. I was like, I think this is a God thing. He said, you still got to go to Oklahoma and make videos. And so I scripted out 7 videos I'm going to make. My cousin, who's you all know as Gate Bart, was off that work that week, and he's like, I'll be your filmer, man. Let's make some videos like we used to when we were kids. It sounded great. So I had this whole plan. Well, then it went kaput because the wedding canceled, no one's moving, and I told my wife, said, I gotta go. And she's like, what? I packed up my pickup after I got her blessing, of course, and drove out here from LA 18 hours straight. Got out here, helped my dad and them for a few days, but I told them, I'm here, I'm gonna help you guys. But I think at the same time I wanted to get away from the crazy and wanted to be out here in God's country. And
amen to that.
And I got to make videos, and by God's grace, the 7 I had planned, like one of them did okay ever when we posted them, but there was one that we didn't plan for that me and Jarrett randomly threw up, became our very first viral TikTok. And at the same time, I had never heard of TikTok, but my sister and my brother-in-law, Gatlin, you got to post your videos on TikTok. They'll perform so much better. I'm like, isn't that a kid's app? So I finally took their wisdom literally like 5 years ago to the day, a couple of days ago, and I posted one of our videos, and it did like 30,000 views. And YouTube, I was getting like 300 on a good day. I was like, what is this app? So And that's how I slowly started coming back out here. I started getting traction every time I'd post videos from out in LA. Like people could, and I'd be in the hills of like where they used to film Westerns. That's where my wife is from, Simi Valley. The Ronald Reagan Library is there. It's like, it's literally looks like the Westerns from the day, but people can read past the authenticity of that. And I'm like, this isn't working. And every time I'd come here, something would happen. So for a year and a half, almost 2 years, every 2 weeks I was coming back and forth to make content, flying, driving, whatever. And by the end of 2020 is when we really took off with our traction. That's when Farm Stuff with Daryl took off. My Hollywood manager loved what I was doing, and he was no longer my manager at this point because he left. And he's like, Gatlin, I'll tell you one thing. Create a character, people will fall in love with the character. So I was trying, and we made Daryl Bibbins as a joke, and that's what took off, and that's what stuck. And I wasn't going to, I knew who Daryl was because it was basically my grandpa and my dad and a couple farmers I knew growing up, like morphed into one and became what we know as, started the Bibbins universe that everyone over the next 4 or 5 years loved. And that's how we really got into doing social media. It all happened organically. And then it brought me back here, hang out with you a little bit more often too.
Yeah, I couldn't believe you moved back from California to this.
But it's beautiful here.
It is.
I think a lot of people, and that's part of this channel was, obviously we don't have the followers you do, but ours is like just showing that, hey, these are real people that work hard every day to raise beef or crops or whatever it is. Like it takes a lot of work, but it's a beautiful out here. It's a different kind of beautiful.
It is,
like,
yeah.
There's some people that probably think this is horrible, but I love being in the country. That's me. I wish more people would go, you know what, this isn't so bad, right? Yeah. And this is where our food comes from, and this is the people that it takes to do that.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the ranch today. What's that look like? It's all family, right?
His dad, my son, second son, he said he worked as a grain elevator manager for how many years? About
30
20?
plus years.
30
almost,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, and then when his dad passed away, well, he had to take over, come back and help. So him and Chris got together, and they've worked things out, and they just have been doing it ever since, and we just really appreciate them because Yeah,
they're the bosses of the real operation. They're the ones running the day to day.
Yeah.
My dad oversees majority of all the Didier ranch cattle because that's only one half of this whole operation out here. And then my uncle has his own starter yard, feeder yard, and his own cattle he runs alongside our ranch here. So they work cohesively together, and because they're both partners in all this. But at the same time, it's like, hey, I need help over here, or hey, you need help there. And that's been the beauty of. I worked for them all growing up. I got to see firsthand, like that's a genuine brother partnership. You like the fights they have are like it's a subliminal fight. It's not even like an outwardly fight.
Right.
And that's who is in charge of everything from the growing operational side. Now I got one of my cousins is back full time as their hand, and our other cousin is a vet. So he comes in, he's our vet on all of our stuff. I have a sister who's involved too. She's a doctor in the University of Wisconsin, but the way she contributes is she does all of our customer service and all of our anytime you've interacted with anybody on Didier Ranch, she's the one handling it all. She works in a research lab.
It takes everybody to do it.
It's a full fan, and we obviously oversee marketing and products development and all that other business, all the other stuff that's not fun and to get into, but it's a full family affair. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what inspired me to like really get more into it. It was like, hey, I think highlighting this and bringing this to the marketplace not only can give us something to promote that's more meaningful to us, but actually can do some good here.
Yeah, and I think, when you talk to the next generation and sustainability, I think now a time where costs are so high, you have to think outside the box, in my opinion, of how do we bring different ideas and different revenue streams. And so I think you're definitely doing that through marketing, right? Is it different than some? Sure. But I told a buddy last night on the way down, I'm like, man, you have a great operation, you got a great story, you got great beef. Why aren't you doing this? Mm-hmm. And I think it's just that step of like, I don't know how to do it. Or I don't know. And like you, it's like, I'm just going to do it and go and then and just continue to evolve and continue to get better. And do you remember how you got pulled into the first video you did?
Yes, I definitely remember. I definitely remember. I was sitting on the floor shelling pecans. And
that wasn't the first one.
that wasn't the first one?
No, that was like probably fourth or fifth one.
Oh.
The first
I
one, remember,
that.
it was the girl dancing. And I pulled you in. I said, hey, react to this. Remember that hussy?
Well, we did a lot of those, so I don't remember
Yeah, that was
exactly
the first one.
That
was the first one, though.
Yeah,
the
okay.
pecan one's a good one,
Yeah.
too.
But and then he just started filming me, and I was doing that. So, but there was a lot of them. And one day he came in, he said, come out here and help me. And I'm going, okay. So I ran out there, and he was doing all this filming and stuff. And when he showed it to me, he didn't, give me time. Of course, my hair ain't very pretty anyway, but
Looks great to me.
I said, most of these people you see on TikTok, they're all fixed up and pretty and have on makeup and everything. And I just come out there and do what he tells me to do.
She was already ready for the part. I didn't need to have hair and makeup or anything. I
You
had
cut all the steps. You just went straight into just going.
Yeah.
It's
Say, come out here, do this.
Yeah, it was really funny. We were sitting in the hotel last night, and one of your videos came up, and I think it was about people that should be deported, and it was really funny because we travel a lot. So you were like, anybody who stands up on a plane, which is the first thought that goes through my mind is every time a plane lands, you always have those people that like stand up in the middle, and it's like, man, we're all going to have to get out. Yeah, well,
trying to get out of it.
So, and then the next one you said was people that put ketchup on their steak. So the first video I ever did on this particular platform was a buddy of mine. We were out, and it was January, like 2 or 3 years ago. And I said, hey, my shoot got canceled. I said, it's going to be like negative 25 degrees. Can I come out and film some content with you? And he's like, sure. And he had a horrible week. And I said, his whiskers are all frozen up. And I said, man, what are you thinking? He's like, we don't work this damn hard for people to put ketchup on their steaks, And
oh, I know that video.
Yeah, so that was us.
That was
and
you?
Andy,
Oh, yeah.
Andy puts it out. So when I just started this podcast, I said, Andy, you got to be the first one. And so during our podcast, we were talking, and I said, man, we should make a shirt that says "Don't put ketchup on your steak," and then sell it, and then all the proceeds will donate back to. Andy had cancer. And him and his wife can't have kids.
Oh, okay.
And so we donated it back to some organizations, and they sold really well. So
that's awesome.
When I saw that, I was like, don't put ketchup on your steak. I'm like, what a perfect harmony.
Yeah.
Like, this is great.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But
yeah.
like, how do you come up with the ideas? Like, you guys put out an insane amount of videos. Is that just something you just have like this massive list of potential videos, or is it just real life, like everyday stuff? Because I feel like a lot of your stuff almost goes along with the trend too of what like the news is or whatever like that. Like I feel, and you turned it into comedy, and it still has agriculture involved.
Yeah.
So is a lot of that just off the cuff?
Well, they come in and they say to me, have you got anything today? And I'll say, no, there's nothing up here, nothing. Do not ask me that, no. So it's all up to them.
I was about to give you credit, but you just threw yourself under the bus.
Sometimes when I'm doing a rant, they film
she
it.
does inspire some things with her. We walk in, she goes, okay, first off, we're not going to record this, but I want y'all to hear what I have to say today.
Yeah.
And it kind of like, okay, like how can we play off the idea of grandma's rant? Gossip, or she loves to call it her gossip for the week. Things like that. But really, I get asked this a lot, and I think it's part of like being a crazy creative person too. Like you're just always thinking like, how could that be a video? Or like, where can we market that? What's that? Like, I don't, like at night I'll like think of things. Like I just how I've always been too. My wife's like, do you even sleep when you're laying there? I was like, I think I do. But she's like, she'll tell me her dream. I'm like, I don't have dreams. Like I think it's because I'm always thinking of video ideas or something. But I don't know. It's always been, to me, it's always felt like a game of like, how can we tell the story better? How can we make a funny angle of this? Or what's been fun about doing stuff more like in the news or whatever is like, okay, and how can we make this in our setting of our world and make it about farming, but not about farming. So it's like always felt kind of like a game. And then also playing the game of algorithms. Like that's the one thing I would say.
That is a game.
You got to understand how these things work, and then also how to craft a story around it, and then how to make it something worth people to reshare. Because that's what it's all about, is like keeping people intrigued and then resharing it. So all that comes into like the thought process of a video. And then sometimes You just see, oh, there's a trend going on. How can we make this about whatever we're doing or just throw it in our setting? And then it pops off for like 35 million views. And then it's the behind the scenes one of us making the video will pop off for 35, which required no production,
Sure.
took your phone. Yeah, we just had this one happen recently. Like that
was
one,
great,
36 million right now, Grandma. And it was the best part of that. We're like, this was so efficient. We shot a video and it went viral. And the video shooting us making the video went even more viral, which drove traffic to the other. We're like, if this could happen every time, this is like, I think we found the formula. We just don't know how to make this happen every time.
Yeah. How cool is it though? I'd love both of your opinions on this. How cool is it to know that you're able to create content that allows you to get back to the farm, you to do something that just seems like it's so much fun. And also then again, it drives people to, your beef website or stuff like that. And you've been able to build this brand that again, where times are going to be difficult, it's another revenue stream. Like how cool is it to think, man, I get to create content and that's a way that, I can still be involved in agriculture. And I love how many different, people you bring to agriculture. Like that's the coolest thing ever. How for you, I guess, to sit back and think of what the last 5 or so years has been like.
Man, this is where I don't even take time to think about it too often. So yeah, you really don't. Like when you're in the thick of it, you're just you're going. Like now we're running multiple businesses within this, you really don't sit back to appreciate. But I try my best to be very very grateful for everything, because I know none of this doesn't just happen. We put in the effort and the time to make it happen, but at the same time it's also could be taken away in an instant. We're very fortunate to be where we're at. So it's when you ask that question, it's dude, the last 5 years just flew by my head. I'm and then all the years before leading up to it, all the no's from Hollywood, all of this, and then growing up, everything, seeing Grandpa have cancer and beat it multiple times and still 6 years. It's all that kind of comes into it, and it's a lot, but it is really cool. And the best part of it all, and this is the one thing I keep coming back to, the more when I ponder on it on my long drives here back home, I think about I get to do this with my family, which a lot of people tell you don't ever do anything with your family. It's business. Don't ever do business with your family. But by doing with our family, it has created inspiration for other families, and it has created inspiration in agriculture. It's created inspiration for kids who maybe have big dreams but don't even want to go attack it because they just know the world's going to tell them no. And it's guys, look at us. We're in the middle of nowhere, Oklahoma, and I heard a lot of no's, and I tried to go do something crazy and came back, but it all worked cohesively. She's almost 84 now, and she's getting to live a whole different life, but she has so much life before that contributes to everything we do. So to me, man, it is a blessing, and I know we're in a moment of it too, so I try not to be outside of it or too forward with it. It's because like I said, this could be taken away tomorrow. All our accounts could get banned, all that stuff. But I just feel very grateful and get to hang out with her. There's a way, I've been around a lot of older people. They're not near as fun and energetic as her to hang out with. And they don't keep me in line. I get enough in line at home, but I come here, it's I can't escape. She keeps me in line too, so.
Yeah, we have a lot of discussions.
I like how you frame that.
A lot of discussions. But it's fun. It's all really fun, Like I say, I get to see him probably 2 or 3 times a week and hang out, and it's so much fun, yeah. And we, my grandson, second grandson, he had a good job with the pipeline company, but his dad and his dad are getting old, so we talked him into notion come back into the farming business. So we're so grateful he came back. So and he told me one day, he said, they're getting old.
I'm sure they love to hear that.
So I think, what is he, about 35 or
he's young enough buck to handle that stuff and then learn it from all them. And
so we really appreciate him coming back and helping, and Gatlin gets to help when he's out here, and we always have some chores for him to do when he comes out.
I'd love to talk about the beef company a little bit.
Yeah.
And obviously you have apparel too, which is awesome. I'm going to definitely be buying some of that. My kids hounded me last night when they called me. They said, well, you get them to sign something. I'm like, oh, my goodness.
We got some goodie bag.
Oh,
We got a goodie bag for you.
But so the beef company, farm to table beef, is that something that you'd always done, or is that something that's really, now that you like have this traction, you thought, man, people hear our story and now they want to buy from us? Like I've told so many different ranches over the years, people will buy from people that they just respect and people that they love their story. So did that kind of come out of that, or where did the direct beef side come from, and what was that thought process?
I mean, for me, I was telling this story yesterday at the speech. I was saying, I remember when I was working, I was listening to a podcast, doing something out here with the 4120 and like moving an old hog feeder for her with one of the chores that she had me doing one day. And I remember a business guy telling one of these influencers, like at the time I had like maybe 70,000 Instagram or TikTok followers, and I was like, I still wasn't figuring out monetization wise. And he said, you influencers are a bunch of idiots. You guys, all these brands are paying you all this money, but they're just exploiting you. You have a customer base to sell something to. You need to have your own product. So a light bulb kind of went off in my head back in 2020 when I heard that. And I was like, yeah, if I ever make this, like I gotta have a product to like I need to bring. And I'm like, but we have our own we already have a business. What's the product we have cattle. I looked out and I saw the cattle. I'm like, why don't we sell our beef direct to consumer? And I'm like, if Snake River Farms is doing it, why can't we do it? So like that intrigued me to go down that path. But I didn't know where I was going at with the content at that point. But then about 2021, I told my dad and my uncle, I said, hey, I'm like, want to look into this? And they're like, nah, we have our way it works. Like, we're good. Okay, so I would just sell like our apparel and stuff like that. And then all these companies continue to like, boom, boom, give you money, but all this money to give them a product, but then they leave you after you get what they want out of you too. And so you keep putting your validation on stuff, then like, even though if you genuinely like it, people don't want to have you support it anymore. So after getting jaded by a couple of companies that we got billions of views for, and to truly want to have something outside of just content and like the traditional influencer like mode of merch, I was like, I want to have something. And then that's where inspired, how can I help? This is how I'm going to help out the ranch. We're going to bring our ranch to people directly. And we've always kept a 1 back or 2 back off to feed us, and I'm like, God, and even when my in-laws or people would come from California, like, y'all's beef just tastes so much better. And so, and I'm like, you're biased. We're Angus guys. Like, every different breed, everyone has their Wagyu, have their own,
Sure. Hey, everybody's got their own thing.
Everyone's got their own thing. So I was like, you know what? There's a market for this. We already have a customer base to promote it to. So why don't we just bring this really good quality product we have, and we get better at even developing the product, which is feeding it out even longer. We used to go like 140 to 160. Now we're going anywhere from 180 to 210. Make sure almost all of our beef grades out at prime. We don't get it every time, so we never market it as every time in prime. Because we're not going to also have USDA certified, like check it every time, because that's expensive, everybody. That's expensive. We're not the big boys. We can't afford that. So having a great quality product, having a trusted base to bring that product to, and having something that it's more sustainable, and it's a business. It's like a true business, and it's a business, and our business is helping promote the business that our family's been in for over 120 years. So it's this awesome, going back to what we keep talking about, all this awesome connection, and then bringing it's been the most exciting thing for me, because like we spent the first year, me and Connor packaged every box that got shipped out to people.
Wow. So
like I went through the whole fulfillment, learning all the logistics of that. We didn't get a fulfillment center until October 2024. And that was a humbling experience too, because we spent 3 days a week packing boxes. I'm like, I'm supposed to be making videos and marketing this stuff, and I'm too busy. We once we got up to 70 orders a week, it's just like you don't have time. And then dry ice, UPS, like figuring all that stuff out. So we finally got a place to send it off to, and all that stuff. What it does is it made me feel very confident. Like, hey, we found a good product to promote. I know they're never going to cancel us, because unfortunately they're stuck with us. This company is. I'm the one who helped get it going, which was another thing. Is like, if you have your own thing, no one can control you. And we talked about that before here. Is like, why you guys don't see we won't work with many companies anymore is because everybody wants to control what you say. And if you've seen some of our content, it's not like brand friendly. I mean, we've lost some. Oh yeah. Some of the biggest names in agriculture have canceled. I don't know if they'd cancel us now, But in 2023, they canceled us. So,
but you've stuck to your guns, though.
Yeah, because that's who we are. So
we had that conversation off, when we were talking about this and trying to grow this and see where it goes. And documentaries, it's like, if we keep the path we're going, yes, are we having to fund it and we having to put the investment in? Sure, but nobody can tell us what we can and cannot do. Yeah. And so I appreciate the fact that you stuck to your guns and said, no, like this is where we're going to go. And you're right. If you have a customer base, that's your customer base. Mm-hmm. Like you're not relying on somebody else. How many views do you know? Like do you know how many total views you have?
Like over the lifetime?
Lifetime across all platforms. Billions?
It's over billions. Yeah, 'cause last year we got 1 billion last year. It was the closest, like barely clipped it last year. But for like 2020 to 2023, like we were clipping that easily. For like even a company, I won't say their name, like one of the companies, when I added up all the stuff we got for them alone in a 2-year span, it was literally almost at 1 billion views. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, and then you look out and we don't see people for miles and miles, like 1 billion eyeballs have been on this stuff and millions of people follow us, and we're like, it still doesn't feel real either. But to us, it's a metric. You can measure that. You can say like, okay, how many eyeballs have seen this brand now or seen this? And then it's all about repetitive. So you get down the marketing path. You're like, there's something here. We're on a gold mine, but how do we mine it? That's like always my question.
Well, you've done a phenomenal job. And to think like at your age, which again, 29 and holding, how would you ever have guessed 50 years ago that this would even be a thing?
Oh, well, never. But see, he pointed out that my sons, they said no, on the beef thing. But it takes somebody young and energetic, because, he's worked hard on this product. And so, to get it to going. And they, of course, they would never have done this, see? So he's been very good at that. That's what it takes, somebody young to get some better ideas and different ideas to going.
You guys are all calling the black sheep of this family, right? And the black sheep.
Yeah,
right. The actor.
Yeah. Hey, but I think it does. It's we talk a lot of times to farms that nope, it's this way because Grandpa did it this way, and then Grandpa passes away at whatever age, and then the next generation doesn't get a chance, and the next generation. So at least you all are open as a family to different ideas and doing things differently, because I think that's what has made it successful and continue to be successful. Just the amount of people you've reached and show them agriculture is phenomenal to me. Like even at our small scale, I know what we do, and it's like, man, it's cool because everybody eats, right? But most people don't have a clue of what goes into it. And so if you all can show the content and do that, like the amount of people you're educating is insane and opening up their eyes to agriculture. So I got to say a huge thank you for that, because it's needed.
Thank you.
Because ag doesn't do a great job of telling their story. So
that's kind of the old adage with all of it. Like for us, the hardest part of the end is like, how do you honor tradition while being open to the future and being willing to make pivots and adjust to make this thing work. So that's the story of the agriculture, is the story of any industry, right?
Yeah.
And for us, the huge part of this being family is like, how do we honor the tradition? How do we honor the heritage of the legacy while also being open to new ideals and being like, hey, maybe the way we did it didn't always work the right way, and that's why now we can advance and go forward, make some pivots, and have success even grander than what we had before. And that's the coolest part, because it's not just our ranch. It's like it's all of agriculture.
Yeah.
But you got to be willing to do a little bit different. And that's, I think, the only reason our content ever worked is like why we shoot. Everyone's like, why do you guys shoot on a nice camera? It's like, do you see too many other people in agriculture shooting on a nice camera? Why are you guys doing the trend, but then the next video you're educating us? It's like, well, how do you hook an audience? You got to bring them in one door, but then you can really showcase them the real, like what's else in here, So it's always, I don't know, I guess it's always a little strategic, I guess, but it's to us, it's like educate. I've always believed in these fundamentals: educate, enlighten, and entertain. So,
and you're doing that.
We try.
You all do a phenomenal job.
Yes, so interesting to me to watch. They've got a lot of baby calves,
Oh,
and
it's calving
it's
season.
so interesting to watch them. I can see them coming back and forth out of my kitchen window, and I'll tell his dad sometime. I'll say, "Did you see that calf limping?" So that's my job. That's the only job I have, is trying to keep them.
You keep them in line, though. Somebody's got to do it.
I'm trying to tell them, "Did you see that calf?"
We got a tag next week. You want to come help with that? Because it's not going to be fun.
Can I tell this story? This
tell
was
it.
hilarious.
You have it.
I mean, one Saturday morning, in fact, I looked out my back door and I was seeing a white thing in the corral out there, and it just was right there. And I'm going. Now I tried to keep trash picked up, and is that a white trash bag? And it laid there all day. And I thought, okay, I got to get out there and get that trash bag picked up. I went out there, and it was a white calf. But we got longhorns, and it wasn't their bull this time, but one of our cows got up there, and she had a white calf, and it was hilarious.
And inspired,
Yeah.
the Longhorns always
Yeah, so
breaking our land.
But it never moved all day, and I'm thinking, okay, that's a trash bag. So
Well,
it was funny.
Hey,
See, that's what I get out of living over
But
here.
it made a whole
living
series of
here.
videos where people know, like,
did.
people come to me and it's like, "Get the Longhorns in your pastures out yet?" I said, "We're working on it, We're working on it. We're slowly getting them out."
What-
But it's all inspired by Grandma saying, "You guys wouldn't believe what happened." And that's kind of how the content happens right
Yeah,
there.
it was funny.
but it seems so authentic, and like my grandma still lives at the family farm, and she's just that way. Like she's 80, I think she turns 85 or just turned 85. So, and
yeah.
no filter at all, and so those moments just come out, and it's just
Yeah.
like, oh, that would be the greatest content in the world. So it's awesome that you're doing it.
Yeah.
But I guess closing thoughts. What's the future look like? Got any grand ideas?
Oh yeah, you don't. That's a loaded question. I'll let you answer it first. How about you answer, then I'll piggyback off you.
Now, what was the question?
Yeah,
I
well-
forgot.
Yeah. What's the future look like?
Well, it looks like fun to me. That's just what I have. I just have fun. I don't do the real work
Oh yeah,
at all. Just,
You just the heavy lifting. You
Yeah.
just carry all of us on your back. Huh?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
That's it. Yeah.
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 Just, I'd like to see my grandkids grow up more, and all that. Oh my gosh, I've got 9 great grandkids.
Oh, my.
They're so nice.
What a blessing.
Yes,
What a blessing.
definitely. Oh my goodness, yes.
What a blessing.
And then for me, the future for us is like everything we've built to this point. How can we expand on it? How can we, be even more efficient on things? How can we be open to opportunities that maybe we've had a lot of opportunities happen this past year that if you'd have told me a year ago, I'd have been like, no. With like people wanting us to come out and speak and things of that nature, or like I hate to leave home because I got newborns at home. I got a new kid, and like my whole team, Connor to Jared, everybody's got kids, and it's like you hate to take people away from home, but like you got to travel to go do stuff. So those opportunities keep coming up. We're expanding all the product line of our beef. We're in the middle of negotiating a big time with one of the biggest retailers in America to get in with them. And it's like, okay, and we were talking about vertical integration. Do we take that step, or do we third party it? You kind of have to start making these other decisions that told me 5 years ago I'm having to make. I would have never believed you. So I don't ever question where the future could go, because if this is what's happened in 5 years, what's the next 20 years going to look like? What's the next 50 years going to look like? And for us, as long as we stick to who we are, that's my main mission out of all this is like very family-oriented people who love where we're from. Oklahoma, very biased about it, but out here in the country, we stick to knowing that we have integrity and that behind us we're fueled by faith. If we don't have any of those things, we're not who we are, but that is who we are. So if we live by that and bring that into everything we do, I think the opportunity and the potential of everything could be is endless. So
Oh, it's an incredible way to put it. Well, I just want to say thank you so much. Like I said, I I think you had followed us on TikTok, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna reach out, and if nobody gets back to me, they don't get back to me. But guess what? You got back to me and welcome.
Shoot your shot. That's what I always tell people.
You.
Don't be afraid to hit record, and don't be afraid to send a DM, because you never know what could happen.
Hey, it's crazy. Well, I want to thank both of you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Wonderful place. Like I said, I'm a little biased. Northeast Kansas is the best place to be, but
you guys got good, lush. Yeah, I'm a little jealous of it.
But this is still beautiful. But no, I'll post their links. Check them out. Like I said, you probably have seen a lot of their content. Follow us, subscribe, do all the fun stuff. Thank you all for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.